Hey everyone, good morning, and thanks for being here today. Please it'll be interesting to you and quite wise. Of course I'm looking forward to it. Kate Middleton showed up at a London hospital on January 8, 2026. She smiled. She shook his. She looked healthy, but some people saw something was not there. The ring she gave her, the same 12K sapphire that Princess Diana owned it. The house said it was taken off for cleanliness' sake, but Kate's birthday was the next day. William didn't say anything in public. A year ago, Kate had shared a touching birthday message for him. So why is there silence now? Body language. Certain people watched their videos again. What they found made them wonder more than answers. Kate Middleton's winter outfit. The video finally showed up on January 9, 2026, the day she turned 44. And it slipped into the world in a way that no one else could have expected. Instead of a well-done picture or a proper royal picture, she picked a short movie, something soothing, and think about it, something different from the old traditions. It turned into the last part of the first book in her Mother Nature series back in May 2025, when Mental Health It was Awareness Week, and it had the same. She had kept a cool tone the whole time. Project. The movie went from the Lake District, Berkshire, and the Cotswolds District, which showed her going through putting her hand in the cold snow and stream while the fields around her shivered in the cold. Her voice rang out over the scenes, soft and warm. And she talked about being still and getting better. Remembering to be thankful. She said that even when it's dark and cold, winter teaches us to be patient and careful. And the line stuck to people's screens like it snowed. The video went viral in just hours. Across from her and Prince William's joint Instagram account, which reached a lot of people, but the time led to an unexpected storm because Britain had to deal with the worst winter in 10 years, with energy, lack of supplies, and rising prices of living putting pressure on families everywhere. I could feel the calm beauty of her message. Two people were far from the truth. Living, and the space between her images and the fight of the country turned into the center of the reaction. During the first 2 days, people talked. It got bigger online. A lot of people thought the video was separate and almost floats above real life at a time when selecting between cooking and food and hospitals were working through fierce cold pressure. The nice things she said about the public and meditation ran into each other. Some people wondered if she was in a bad mood, understood what typical homes were facing. What made things look even worse was that she and William had just went to Charing Cross Hospital and met people with cancer and helpers who were hard times on the ground floor. What was different about that visit and the peaceful winter scenery looked like big. Still, her friends stood up for her, that the Mother Nature series was off her journey to get better after unknown cancer news in January 2024, a trip she had shared in a gentle way bit by bit. People said nice things about her. Her talent and her desire to talk about a new and calmer way to look at mental health. The argument only got worse, and in the more than 2 million in the first week there were comments and shares going around, making the movie famous around the world. Having a talk about the public figures should be used in times of trouble, while people talked about the video itself. Another thread came out as body language experts went back to her earlier news about cancer. As of that earlier, Nicole Moore saw something in the video, something small but interesting about Prince William. 30 seconds into the video, as Kate leaned on his shoulder, and his eyes went for a short time, it went up and outward. Moore told them this was a sign of an uncomfortable feeling inside, something a person does when they're too busy or trying to find mental stability. Kate, as when she said the word, her eyes closed. Kind behavior, a sign of distress, or a desire to make sad memories less sharp. Those even small clues meant a lot. Because they showed the mental cost. Both of them had been given the news. The study quickly got around, and began to play the video frame by frame. Who was trying to figure out the private. The calm appearance hides a lot of stress. It was one of those rare times when a few seconds of silence told us more about the truth than hours of talking about it. That the day was linked to silence. In January 2024, everything changed. She went to London on January 16, clinic for surgery that will be done on the abdomen. The surgery was, according to Kensington Palace, successful, and she said she would 10 to 14 days in the hospital before going back home. At that time, the palace said that her health was. The public was told it was not dangerous. She would stop being a royal servant until the Easter. William took a few plans to stay close to her, and other facts were kept from the family, which led to endless debate across the country. Folks were looking for answers, but the house kept its attention on keeping her healing safe and saying as little as possible. Everything changed. Once more in late February 2024, when tests done after surgery showed that, to sum up, there was cancer after all. The fact that she needed preventative chemotherapy, and her care began. Quietly while being watched by a doctor. The palace chose to keep this growth going. Her own for a few weeks, giving her and the space for the family to take in the news before you tell everyone about it. Nowadays, the length of chemotherapy can change. Strength. However, even the Mildesta's mental and side effects stress. The privacy was strange, but it gave her time to get ready for at which point she would finally step forward and talk. She died on March 22, 2024. Finally told the truth. The video she when it came out that day had a different weight from everything she had ever put up. She told them that the cancer had been found after her surgery in January and that she was already going through treatment for prevention. She said that the last few months have been extremely tough and thanked the medical team showing her the way through it. She asked it softly for peace and quiet so she could concentrate how to heal. There were messages of support from all over the world to King Charles and Prince Harry to President Joe Biden. People were moved by how open she was. They were fighting their own wars and many people feel like they've been seen in a way they hadn't before. As expected. The next important mark came on September 9, 2024, when she told everyone she was done with treatment. Inesh said in a video message that she was now free of cancer, and the words made me feel like everyone in the world let out a breath. She talked about the last 9 months as being very tough, but also full of thank you. She talked about how the trip wasn't over yet, and that taking care of her health would require care and attention all the time. They felt relieved and hopeful. The story had become a quiet strength for many people who followed her updates while they are getting care. The people came back on January 14, 2025. When she went to the Royal Marsden Hospital. It was her first wedding of the year, and during the trip, shown that her cancer was in giving up. She said that it had been really tough and that the shock had had time to settle down. She thanked the staff, spoke with real feeling and about getting used to a new way of greet. Her words hit home with the sick and survivors who knew what she really meant. The visit marked a new beginning for her and for the bigger lesson of getting cancer that she helped get across. But even in times of hope, people paid attention to Williams how you move your body. In September 2024, Moore said again in the cancer-free video up to that exact 30-second mark where his eyes went up and out. It took place as Kate shared an open and honest part of her story. And the movement pointed to an internal flood of he was trying not to show how he felt. It seemed to be helping her with despite having everything he was still fighting with his own stress and fear. Viewers who went back to see what happened said it felt different all of a sudden once it was brought up. Moore looked at the lips move all through the movie. William often pressed his lips together, a movement linked to stress and the kind of mental control that people use when they're trying to keep calm for a person they love. His hand kept their balance on Kate's back and backing, but his small facial expressions made it clear how much he was carrying inside. It was agreed by experts that these signs showed what a man looked like, trying to be strong while being quiet, feeling too much. What people did was not worked on. They were the kind of reactions that you don't want to have happen in times of great mental stress. In June 2025, Dr. Cassidy from the British Psychological Society became a part of the talking together. The woman saw that Williams when he spoke, his top lip got tight. Talk with Kate. A small sign that talked about mental control and the try to keep feelings from coming out. Find out. It was like the famous British instinct to keep calm under there is pressure. Even though the act lasted, it proved that it was only a few milliseconds that he was dealing with deep emotion stress while working hard to keep honor for both of them. Moore also said adding another level by noticing his shoulder right place. Quite often, he stood a little behind Kate, a sign of safety and comfort, the physical equal of letting someone know you have their comeback. Still, those moves for support paired with the slight discomfort in the way he looked, showing how he was being a father and a husband at the same time, husband in the storm of feelings around them inside of him. It showed how quiet, how complicated their relationship was during one of the hardest times in their lives. Mother Nature and Kate Middleton. The show seemed calm at first, but how everything fit together behind the scenes showed a different story. The movie was shot from 2025 to 2026. Happened on royal lands that were left empty, and forest was one of the main places, lodge. It was on hundreds of acres of land. Preserved land that no one can see. It was handled with great care by the team. A background for a good family message. When the fall episode came out in November 2025, people saw that the kids in the video were jokingly asked right then and there. Still, it took care to cast the child. The news spread through the UK media, and the people talked more when they learned that the shoot took place at the nature centre had been turned off for a while. Families, those who usually went there, found gates locked instead of open spaces, and teachers, those who planned trips for their kids, had to toss it. Local news outlets said that the school was important to kids from the city, for lessons outside showed up only to be turned away. Many people thought it was strange because the show told parents to taking their own kids outside while the place itself was closed for family filming. That difference got stronger and spread quickly on the web, where the topic of talk changed from angry feelings. In fact, the closing turned into it has its own story. It took place in October 2025 in the middle of the school. It's time for field trips. It was a rare place, having green room is good for families from cities that are very crowded. And all of a sudden, they couldn't get in because the royals were shooting what some people joked called a cottagecore moment. There were a lot of posts from parents and teachers are upset. 132 school groups were turned away back then. People talked about how strange it was to hear Kate encourage fun, simple family time outside, even though the nature area she went to had been closed off to the public. The royal press office didn't say anything, a reason was given, and the silence made people think that the shoot's privacy had the biggest reason. The irony didn't work by quietly. It was talked about and made fun of on Twitter and Reddit, where people thought the word and the truth had become very far apart. How that feeling grew deeper when the autumn episodia message about being strong. Kate told people to keep going and find nature gives us strength. Still, the setting of her letter was from Forest Lodge, a house famed for its wealth and renovations projects. News stories said the family went through a few fully equipped since 2020, each one spread out over wide acres and full of trees pieces. People who saw the show began to contrast her words with the amount of warmth around her. Many people didn't like it. Having talk spread out in some Reddit posts such as Royalty Tea, where people find out how hard it was to hear someone from a long way away talk about persistence far from the problems of everyday life. Blog posts repeated this feeling and talked about the message as stupid and out of touch. More people looked at the background, the bigger the gap between there is everyday life and royal truth. At the same time, the show tried to show they were just William and Kate. Liked walks in the quiet and time spent outside. That was a big part of the movie's picture. Still, critics said the timing was off, probably because the series came out during a time of high stress inside the royal family. Everyone's seen the competition between William and Harry, and a lot of other people saw Mother Nature shows as part of a bigger plan to change how people feel. The cottagecore brand and the ongoing fights became a mess. Over power and image, people wrote that it was tough to think of the couple as regular hikers when there was a big fight going on for image in public. People thought that the show made their parts too weak, putting aside the money and how families work and the plan behind the movies. It made people feel uneasy for many people who thought there would be more built up. After that, there was a moment that shook a lot more than just logos. In the beginning, Kate became one of the famous people who had been hurt by AI-created images of sexuality. The pics were made by the AI robot Grok, built into from Elon Musk's company X platform. Getting public photos, Grok made fake one-shots of Kate in places that wear swimwear or poses that are sexualized. Thousands were aimed at women and even children the same way. The Watch on the Web Foundation got several stories, and Ofcom, the UK's media watchdog, called both X and XAI to act right away. The story showed a major flaw in AI tools for safety, especially in the edit features that helped people work. There are limits. It made bells go off. About how simple it would be to twist turning harmless pictures into something bad. What people thought behind palace doors was feelings and secret things. There were reports that Kate was deeply upset and felt violated hit her where she had tried to heal old wounds. From that made me think of the 2012 event with cameras in France when no top pictures were taken of her without her. I agree. Insiders talked about the digital as painful and scary an attack, almost as scary as the first time because it made the difference between the real world and artificial manipulation. Kensington Palace didn't say anything in public, but people who know the family said they were keeping an eye on everything and looking into legal options. The experts warned that deep fakes come with effects on the mind, especially for someone who has been through secrecy violations in the past. Because of the scandal, having talks about mental health, digital safety, and the need for stronger laws need to be passed right away. X replied by saying that some users had been able to make telling AI images despite safety measures. They claimed improvements were being made, but there was already damage on the online before any attempts to remove it get going. Elon Musk said that anyone could. People who tried to make content that was illegal AI would face the same problems they would have had to deal with if they were the ones who posted the pictures. There was an official investigation by Ofcom to test both X and XAI to see if they were following rules for internet safety. The event caused a change in the world's discussion about AI ethics and what duties that tech companies must owe to protect people. In January 8, 2026, Kate had her first public appearance. Most important event of the year at Charing Cross Hospital was next to William in a suit in red. People took notice right away that her engagement ring was not there. It was one of the most well-known images in modern royal history. A 12-carat Sri Lankan was inside. A blue gem with 14 diamonds all around it, made of white gold and worth about £517,000. It was Princess Diana's old thing. Who bought it in 1981 for $28,500. That's about £110,000 today. During times like hospital stays, it's the little things that stand out. That the lack of such a famous ring caused a stir, speculation almost right away. Supposed spread quickly on the internet, some talking about trouble in the marriage. The quietly said that the ring was real. Was taken away for practical reasons. NHS guidelines say that people must take their hands off in bracelets in medical settings to keep from getting sick. Kate had gone after the same rules as our last stop, which in 2018 and again after she got war sea break in 2025. Even saw simply put, the ring had a deep important past that made its absence it feels heavy. After Princess Diana died in 1997, William and Harry picked one each. A souvenir. Harry picked out the sapphire ring. It was a Cartier watch that William picked out. After many years, when William decided to ask Kate to marry him in 2012, Harry said yes. That they gave the ring in exchange for the look. That story was added to their ring's story. The ring has worn down over time. Became a reflection of what Diana left behind and a sign of continuity. In other words, whenever it went out of Kate's hand, even for silly reasons, people paid attention. And people paid even more attention this time. Because her next public event was with one more surprise. William didn't let everyone know it's her birthday on January 9, 2026, which seemed odd because Kate had written a touching message for his birthday last year. This year on June 21, 2025. That quiet when the lost ring was added, it made new sounds. Whispers about stress or being far away. Insiders in the royal family said the couple stayed together. They made the point that this was what both William and Kate a lot of responsibility while still getting used to living in Forest Lodge. They said William was on Kate's side. Because of ongoing personal problems such as her recovery from past health problems. Palace officials said it again that the ring had been taken off as a matter of fact and because Kate wore her simple Welsh gold wedding band while they were there. What Kate Middleton's new nature movies came out at the right time. When everyone was cold and tired. So, the peaceful scenes in the country felt many people find it strange. It was released in January 2026 for her 44th birthday. Scenery with soft lighting shot in Cheshire and the Cotswolds. She talks softly about getting better and thank you. While winter was still around, Britain was mean and didn't forgive. It was full in hospitals. Families had trouble. With money. Some people watched the video and felt a sudden gap open up between them, the world, and theirs. Even strong royal defenders said they were worried about the time. It was almost like she was speaking from a place where hard times didn't affect her. So, the message of rebirth got lost. From how most people were living their lives through, and it caused a wave of there was criticism that kept getting louder as the days went by. After that, the time of the next video made things worse. It was another message with a nature theme was sent. That same month, he talked about stillness, healing, and quiet times. Many people thought the words were soft, but the lack of understanding around her kept going on. Everything felt heavy without them. People asked her about her workload, her mental health, and the reason she stayed far from their public duties while they scenes of peace. Commentators said it turned out that the house kept giving how to talk about survival without giving any kind of real reason. Even Liz Jones, who fought hard for her, said the release I didn't feel in touch. When people talk, people began to wonder if the videos they were meant to comfort or just take away. The thought that something was missing kept getting around. The way that even more people were upset after seeing the videos, people thought she sounded like an overly happy teacher talking about nature while avoiding more serious problems. She laughed. Gentle and talked about starting over, but the pictures showed easy hugs and soft words. The presentation looked good. But light, like it was made to calm instead of telling. People were looking for being honest or having substance and couldn't find it. Some people said the videos didn't show real talk about climate change or to save energy, only soft lights and planned calm. They had a more of a branding attempt than a real message. That sense of being apart grew as more people asked her why she looked so far away from the problems that regular people are having loved ones. At the same time, the news turned her life in public into a race. Kate was more well known than William, and the house planners wanted to make the scales even. This led to a quiet fight going on behind the scenes, video clips, and public events in ways that didn't feel natural. People took notice. Taking care of pictures seemed to be the goal, not real help. Each new release added to the idea that she was being made to get liked rather than just words. Talking on the internet made her and William into characters during a game where each move, people judged a smile or a small amount of money. The attention shifted from the real work and to the person who seemed more likable. That the complaints got worse when the focus changed because it made everything look less real. In the meantime, body language experts looked into frame by frame. They talked to each other. Nicole Moore said the two looked good together. Strong ties, but she fell short. There were signs on William's face that there's something weak underneath. Highs that dart, short pullbacks, and tight his upper lip showed how much stress he was under. Hauled. Kate did have times when leaned on him for support, and he didn't look away because it was far away, but because of how strong the feeling was. Moore said that these little someone was trying to get people to respond. Stay calm when you're under a lot of stress. Her study made sense to her because she had years of learning how the royal family speaks, and she watched the vids one after the other. Second, Dr. Cassidy added one more thing. She said William was deeply in love with his wife and moved in closer. Tosh didn't notice. He meant to back loose to her, but the same tight upper lip showed that he was having a hard time inside. He said that when guys face a loved one when someone is sick, they often fight to look strong even when they're not. I am overwhelmed. She told them that William quickly changes his smile from a warm one to a serious one. From afar, there were signs of someone who was in pain that he couldn't show. The things she talked about were real events. He smiled at a group of people and then looked away quickly, showing how much work it did to keep himself steady. Everything added to the misunderstanding around Thea movie series about Mother Nature. Kate kept putting out relaxing scenes while staying away from most of their public tasks. It was important to know how she was doing. The house was also quiet. More questions were brought up by each video. The sleek style made it look like the picture work instead of health. Not having any direct involvement only made Thea mystery. Analysts thought that the videos were made to handle thought rather than offer being clear. The peaceful images stood out on top of her extended absence, and that the difference made people wonder if she was ready to come back or if she was kept safe. Her news of remission in some things became clearer in January 2025, but not enough. She was happy to hear that. Being cured and thankful for thank you. She also said it takes time to heal. Time, and anyone who has been through cancer is aware of how long the changes can be made. The message came after months of not saying anything about her diagnosis and major stomach surgery in March 2024 surgery. A lot of people liked what she said. And some people thought the tone was too in charge. It was unclear why she waited. Why did it take so long to speak? Felt like a drill. Putting it on social media rather than using a traditional getting the news release only made things worse. That interactions at the palace were changing in ways that people didn't fully trust. The return to light tasks was put off until late 2025, keeping the unknown alive. The trouble she's been in videos shook everything up more. In March 2025, she put out a Mother's Day song. Picture of her with her kids, but online users saw digital changes right away. A lot of news sites took down the picture. Instagram put a note in there. Kate apologized and said she had been using edits as a test and did not to make trouble, but the damage was real. People used to trust without a doubt. She began to fall apart then. Body language experts saw standing and sitting stiffly at times when her smile looked like it was straining. Not with tell the truth about her health, people guessed during the silence, when she posts and how she says things. A lot of people thought she was not in line with how most Britons live, being hit hard by rising costs of life. Her message from September 2024 had already spelled out that her recovery would not move quickly. She said her weight would take a long time to heal, and she had to enjoy every day as it came. She talked about speech problems and brain fog, side effects that usually last after drug therapy. Even after getting better, she kept her plans simple. The house stayed quiet about her health, which led to rumors. Medicine's experts said that getting better from cancer can stretch out over years, both physically and feel things. Still, every time she people searched her when she went out in public. Face to see if they are strong or weak, there were doubts about whether she was ready. 4 full tasks circled around and around. Some thought about whether the house was keeping her.